Afternoon, y'all. Welcome back to another On the Mountain Ministries video. Today is day 52, 75 hard. I'm out on my second workout today. Doing a second ruck because my upper body is destroyed from the past 3 days of workouts. So, I was talking to one of my buddies earlier about we were sitting there talking, playing a little bit of a video game, which is funny. First time I've really played in, I don't really remember when, probably 4 or 5 months. Life's busy doing stuff more productive than playing video games, but I was talking to him and I was putting my boots on, getting ready to come out here, and I remembered I needed to get some stuff from my room to get ready for hunting season next week. So I was looking for it. As I was doing that, I found something that for the most part I forgot about. I vaguely remembered it was in this drawer, and I vaguely remember what was in it. And it's actually, this is not the video where I'm going to discuss it. It's going to be probably towards the end of my first cycle of 75 hard, but this is what it is. This right here is my very first journal. No big deal, right? Let's give some context here. When I was super little, I would sit there and watch pretty much every single survival bushcraft video there was on YouTube. I watched almost every single survival show there was. I watched almost every single military documentary I could find. At that point, I was planning on going into the military, but more than that, the only thing I really wanted to do was be a mountain man. Wanted to go up, live in the woods, be like Jeremiah Johnson, that type of stuff. Well, I remember that I got all these Halloween decorations out, y'all. Anyway, I remembered watching these videos and looking into the mountain man history and stuff. I was fascinated with Lewis and Clark, and one thing that drew me into it was the journaling. And so I wanted to journal super bad, and I got out of school one day and I was trying to figure out how old I was on this before I realized my mathematics skills aren't that great. I'll explain that in a second. I got out of school and got in the car, and we got home, and my mom says that my grandma was out on a trip and she got my brothers and I all a journal. And of course, me being myself and the oldest, I had to show authority, and I said I wanted the brown one because it looked like leather and I had to be a mountain man. So luckily for me, everybody else wanted the gray and black one, so I got this snazzy little notebook. Now, when I found this, it was interesting because it's not the first journal I found. The first journal I found was from 2020, end of 2019, 2020. I made it in Scouts. My venturing leader told us about it, and I was all for it. At this point, I was not a journaler, didn't care about it anymore, forgot about it, life changed, I got a lot older, and so I wasn't doing it. But he said something about it, and that sounds like a fun activity we would actually do instead of sit there and plan the whole time. So we made it. I opened it up, I did not realize how much I wrote in that thing. And of course, there's a third of the journal that's not filled up or whatever, but it's fine. funny enough, that type of thing drives me nuts now if my journals are not filled from front to back in some way or the other. Anyway, so I found that, I'm like, oh, that's cool, you know, I'll put it in my drawer with the rest of them. And then I seen this one. Like I said earlier, my grandma got us these. She probably doesn't even remember, but she's gonna see this on Facebook. And, you know, I was like, oh, that's cool, right? Whatever. So I open up the book, and let me open it up real fast and double check this for y'all. Sorry, I'm out walking. The first journal entry that I ever made was May 11th, 2013. I was 10 years old. The reason I said, give me a minute to explain that, I was sitting here trying to figure out how old I was when I started journaling. And I'm sitting there going, somebody will figure it out for me. Then I realized, just add 10. So I was, wait a second. Yeah, I was 10. Derp, mathematics. Anyway, so I found it and I was like, hey, you want to hear some of these? My very first journal entry ever. My buddy's like, yeah, for sure. I'm gonna try my best to read it to you. It almost gave me a brain aneurysm reading it. First off, my handwriting was absolutely horrendous at the time. Second off, I didn't know how to spell any words, and my grammar is not anywhere near where it is now. So, you know, I guess I did learn something in school, right? So, May 11th, 2013, I'm gonna try to read this and see if I can get any sense out of it. We got our bows fixed today. It looks like it is going to be a fun day. I am planning to start a fire, but I do not know. I've made a design for a fire, and design is not spelled anywhere near what design is actually spelled as. I have made a design for a fire. I make a frame for a fire, but I need tinder, so I have to have some threads or something. We got, I think that's supposed to be 3, but it's spelled tree, so I'm not really sure. We got tree small carp. I will start a fire soon. So at that point, y'all, we were doing bow fishing, and you know, I think this is interesting. My dad's gonna probably remember some of these stories. We got tree small carp, and I will start the fire soon. Someone got 5 good-sized carp. The last 2 were, and were is not spelled correctly. It's spelled, I don't even know what that says. It's supposed to say were. The last 2 carp were 25 and 24 pounds. Pounds is not spelled correctly. You know, this is kind of fun for me, guys. I'm trying to decipher code from 10-year-old me. We're getting ready to go home for the day. Next, I will tell you what I will use to make my fire, but next is spelled N-E-C-T. That's not how you spell next, y'all. Tell you how to make a fire. I was using wood, 2 tissues, those aren't spelled correctly, 1 tissue box, not spelled correctly, dryer lint, not spelled correctly. I made a little teepee is not spelled correctly, of wood and tissue box. We made some tea on my fire and it was good. So, 10-year-old me, 2013, thanks Grandma, because this is the start of everything. Now, whatever, right? The first entry was 2013, my last entry was 2020. And I still have 2/3 of this journal that were not filled. Like I said earlier, that drove me nuts. But the reason, at the time, I did very little daily journaling or brain dumping or anything like that. It was mainly my bushcraft survival camping journal. So this is what's interesting about that. I'm gonna go through and read more of these. But what that means is, A, this was before I was a believer in Christ. So, you know, pre-believer me. Second, this has a ton of camp stories from scouts that I will not have remembered. So, that's interesting. Howdy. What's also interesting about this journal is, since it's from old scout trips and adventures and camping trips with my dad. I'm excited to go through it if I can decipher what it says. My last journal entry, I'm not going to read it off word for word, but it's basically, there's actually a video of this on my Scouting in the Woods YouTube channel that I've not uploaded to for years. That was my scout/survival bushcraft channel. But it basically was talking about how I made a hobo fishing reel. I was being able to cast it pretty far. I was impressed by it, and I actually caught a fish on it. It's funny because I guess at the point I decided, since this was still my survival bushcraft journal, you know, someone's gonna get some real philosophy from this one day, guys, was that even though it was still full, I would stop because that was December 2019, and somewhere in January 2020. I think the last entry is actually from March, but that's literally the last time I wrote anything in it. And that's when I started the second journal that I ever had for scouts. And funny enough, at some point in there, I decided that I could not use blank pages. It was driving me nuts. I couldn't use a number 2 pencil, which I do use sometimes now, but at the time I couldn't fathom using a wooden pencil. I needed something different. And because of that, I ended up actually buying a different journal and started filling it out. And I'll show you all this at a later date for a different video. That's not necessarily what it's about, but now I have literally a drawer full of journals and notebooks that I've filled up. A lot of them are journal inserts. Some of them are full-fledged, you know, thick notebooks. But it's interesting. If I started in 2013 and was on and off journaling, I didn't start journaling in like a lot until 2020, I believe, which is interesting because y'all remember the world was like then. But you know, I was just out and about, didn't worry about it, because my whole life I was preparing for the end of the world as we know it, watching all the survival videos and shows and stuff, and going camping. So this is starting to merge into several videos, so I guess it's going to be a sneak peek of a lot of my ideas. First off, thank you, Grandma, for getting me that journal when I was 10 years old. It's definitely a relic of time now. Second one, thanks, Dad, for putting me in Scouts and teaching me how to survive the end of the world as we know it. Third off, thank you, Mom, for making sure that I completed my Scout journey and where I am now. Anyway, have a blessed day, y'all. It was just a rambling video that I thought would be kind of cool to make. Have a blessed day. Bye.